if my information is right, we're sitting here in the country which is known for the American dream, land of freedom, hope and glory, right?
The land of liberty and freedom. That's a fact.
Is that the truth, Alec?
That appears to be an eroding truth, in the sense that there are so many different developments at the level of governmental and local laws that seem to or seek to abridge or lessen the freedoms that were innately granted in the United States under the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Well, if this is a land of right, freedom, liberty, those people have a right to sue the policeman, or better maybe to say in the American slang, the cop, right? The bad boys.
Yes, and obviously police brutality, like governmental corruption, is not something new, but what is new is a trend over the past few decades of an increased militarization of even local law enforcement agencies, and the different manner in which the essential role of the police officers, or sometimes as they're referred to,
protect and serve, right?
Peace officers, to protect individuals and their property, has in many cases seemingly been reversed, so that rather than these public officials being our public servants, they turn into dictatorial, very aggressive forms of agents that seek to curtail every type of freedom.
Maybe it's the best to personalize a little bit about the happening about 2007, if I am correct.
In 2011, in May of 2011, I was with three other friends, and we were peacefully traveling in a motor car through a wonderful part of Los Angeles.
Not a little bit too fast? A little too fast driving,
Perhaps
maybe?
a little too fast. It was claimed by one officer who stopped our vehicle, and when my friend the driver did not produce a driver's license, or had forgot his driver's license, he was asked to step out of the vehicle. His girlfriend was asked to step out, as well as the person in the back seat who was with me stepped out, and I was the last remaining individual peacefully abiding in the back seat of this vehicle. The problem developed when there were some suspicious commands given to me by the deputy to look away, or to hide my vision from some part of the vehicle or from himself, as I maintained direct contact, eye contact, and visual contact with him. Ultimately, I simply said no to his command, wherein he immediately informed me that he was going to tase me and charge me with some incomprehensible statement of charges. And
so what has been the charge?
The charge ultimately became, after I was severely beaten, maced, tased, batoned.
But you're a dangerous person. You hit the policeman, right?
That was what was
seriously injured him.
Subsequently, the police officers who severely assaulted me alleged that I attacked them.
And a drug abuser?
And that they had found large amounts of illicit ecstasy powder in my bag, which was...
I'm sitting here in a peaceful park with a criminal, with an aggressive one.
With an aggressive, convicted criminal whose charges of police assault was dropped on the contingency that I would accept a guilty plea of possession to sell narcotics.
And could you explain me what was the final charges? Were you ever charged, or do you have now a criminal record? Or?
I do have a criminal record now, as someone who pled no contest to agree to charge of possession to sell ecstasy. And in exchange for that agreement of guilty plea...
The Dutch connection. The Dutch connection. We are famous for that, you know.
Well, it works very well, and obviously, I've heard these types of instances occurring many times in my life, but I've never actually firsthand experienced these criminals who attacked me, who are supposed to be my public servants to serve and protect me.
Can you tell me some kind of a stories? What did occur? Maybe not here near, but maybe in the rest of the USA?
Well, there's a number of the police abuses that have been highlighted and in the media today, including Eric Garner and many of these others, most of whom are African Americans or people of color. And unfortunately, in many of those cases, those individuals are not alive to contest or report different versions of their story, because they were killed by the police. And it is my belief in most of those instances unjustly.
But in one of the cases, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the police officers was connected with somebody on high position. Some kind
Well,
of
in relation to the situation that exists here in Los Angeles and the agency that was responsible for assaulting me, their employees, their officers, it is the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department. In subsequent to the incident that I endured with the attack and assault against my person, the Federal Bureau of Investigation did a sting, a secret operation against the LA County Sheriff's Department because of so many alleged cases of these abuses. Most specifically, that sting occurred in the LA County jail system, where innocent people were routinely getting beaten up by many of these corrupt deputies. That exposure led to the conviction of and imprisonment of several of these deputies, as well as the resignation of the chief sheriff, Leroy Baca, who at that time oversaw all of the many types of corruption that occurred within the department. Just recently now there is a newly elected sheriff, Jim McDonald, but it was revealed, and it is now being revealed, that during the time while Sheriff Leroy Baca was in his position, he actually hired deputies who had criminal records. He had hired some of his relatives, despite a few of one of these relatives who had actually been in an altercation with another police officer from a different department in San Diego County. Nevertheless, he was taken on as a Los Angeles County Sheriff deputy.
Wow. God bless him.
So
he has a nice history.
Yeah, if you have the inside connections, I guess.
I hope he was Catholic, so he can be forgiven by the priest, right?
Yes, yes.
Another interesting thing, Alex, if I may ask you, your name came up by a neutral friend of us, a Christian in Tao, and they are at the moment also busy in raising certain kinds of funds, also to help plea bargaining or something like that. Can you maybe explain, because it's not clear to me, if you're arrested here, I always hear in the American movies, if you don't have enough funds to hire, a lawyer, we will, free. So what are you guys doing? It's for free.
Right. There's that notion that is a cliche from a long time ago, that is the statement that justice is for those who can afford it. And although anyone who is convicted of any crime is assigned a free public defender, there are a lot of elements to that people regard as being an inferior way to defend your rights, rather than having a privately hired attorney. So this is the origin of that phrase, as well as now we're I and the directors of G10. These are the individuals who did a tremendous job and made outstanding efforts to help me in my case, in ways wherein I would not have been able to move ahead with my case were it not for their help. G10 is the global trust and education network.
Why is that?
Right. So part of the difficulty of my case was that because of this forced under duress, I accepted or pled no contest to their drug charge. They basically used charges of assault against an officer as a leverage to force me to accept false possession to sell drug charges. And so in that process, I after I was criminally convicted and went along with their sentencing, I continued with my efforts to bring my case to the federal courts, and wherein the time I met the G10 directors and my close friend who introduced me to Christian John.
Okay, but the question was why you need the 20,000 then?
So.
Why there is a fund, why there is a trust fund, a new trust fund?
Right. The purpose of this is to address a gap in the justice system that exists for many thousands, if not millions, of people in the United States who are wrongfully who are wronged in any way by either police officers or other entities. And but in this case specifically, with these police abuse cases, so often because of the elements of false witness, cover-ups, false drug charges, the individual who has a claim against the assault against them finds himself in a hard position to find an attorney, as I did.
So what are the other angles, the difficulties of other people trying to sue somebody in front of court?
So attorneys have the option to choose to engage in any type of contract they wish. In many cases, they will accept a case fully on contingency basis, meaning that they will pay all the upfront costs and expenses based upon the possibility or hope that they will win the case, and then they will deduct their fees. In my case, because of the difficult elements involved, even though my case is on a contingency, it's only a partial contingency. So I'm required now, in order to move ahead with my case, to depose my witnesses. I need $2,000 per person to depose each of 4 witnesses. And I need an additional $5,000 to give to my attorney to pay for an expert witness on police abuse or police tort.
So what are we talking about, 20,000?
So actually 13,000.
13,000.
Is the initial fees, and based upon hopefully no other difficulties involved with the case, then I would proceed either to trial or for them to settle my case.
And could you maybe explain me what kind of project is going on at the moment to help other people?
Yes, we have a really exciting small micro program that has been designed together with for the purpose of helping me move ahead with my case, as well as simultaneously for the purpose of helping many others in my position who lack the funds or the knowledge or ability and support to move ahead with these cases. So the members of G10 and I have created an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign to generate and raise the $13,000 needed for my case, and a trust fund is established through the G10 organization so that any excess funds that come in, perhaps on a continued recycling basis, will go towards an outreach to individuals in similar situations as I, who find themselves unable to pay for their justice or move ahead.
So we're not living in the land of freedom, liberty.
It may be that we are now in a partial mode of freedom, that it is up to us now to recapture our freedom.
Alex, you make me sad. You make the viewer sad.
Yes, it may be sad, but there's still hope as Abraham Lincoln said, and as a testament, as a statue stands in the Central District Federal Courthouse of the Ninth Circuit, with Abraham Lincoln's statement that no law is greater than the public sentiment where it is to be enforced. And so there's still hope. Even it falls again upon a very tedious, onerous, and process of taking this initiative and responsibility, based upon the fact that increasingly it seems unless we are able to assert our rights, we lose them, or we don't have them. If we acquiesce, meaning if we give in, then it's as if we didn't have those rights.
But if I may say, you know, I'm seeing a lot of protests going on throughout the whole country. I see it from Seattle to even to West Hollywood, to Fullerton, to Anaheim. I see even if I watch the news on the Martin Luther King Day or national holiday, the bank holiday, there were a lot of people protesting. I think something is going on in United States of America at the moment, right?
There certainly is. There's so many different aspects of more of this type of corruption being exposed, and
do the people get it now?
Well, it seems to be there's tremendous public sentiment that wants to make the changes that will lead to more transparency, and there's all kinds of different movements, both in political bills to try to address this, but including enforcement of officers to wear cameras at all times. And
would that help?
I believe it's a start.
And what are the results of that start, the trial, the test?
Yes, definitely, Peter, because you see some things that are now happening in the justice system that are unprecedented. Because of the pressure of the public, there are a few district attorneys' offices in the United States, in different states, that are now instigating what they refer to as conviction integrity units. So they're a separate office or department that is going to, in many cases, be opened up to thoroughly evaluate and scrutinize convictions that are brought, or also indictments that are brought to the district attorneys by police authorities, to vet them and to prevent grave injustices, including what is so vital and so important now. It is in relation to two organizations. One is the Innocence Project, and the other name escapes me at this moment, but these are organizations that have gone through the very difficult process of appealing and actually discovering in now some few hundred cases of people who have been wrongfully jailed and have served many years in prison and are now released due to the deep investigation that revealed that those indictments and those convictions were wrong and the person was innocent.
Okay, if we come back to the land of freedom, what is the role, your personal opinion, what is the role of the American media in all this?
I believe the American media is so vital, because anywhere where there is light to expose and attention on these activities, it can't help but to create some awareness and influence some change. On that note, the frustrating thing in the United States is that there really in reality is so few free media outlets in the way of public television and public access radio that have the uncurtailed ability to report freely in the manner they need to and do the type of investigation. So I think the media role is so vital, but it is vastly underutilized, and it's a travesty that it is so. So every type of individual like yourself, Peter, who's willing to use their own free initiative and free will and channels to expose any form of corruption of any type, I think it's a great service to all of us, because that ripple effect, even if it's someone in another country or someone in another city that we may never know, all those small incremental efforts, I believe, can produce quantum change.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for this open, conversation. As an end note, you can use that camera there and to tell the viewers a little bit about the project, maybe to mention the website.
Yes. I thank you very much for taking the time and attention to listen to this message, and I would direct you to our Indiegogo campaign, which is www.indiegogo.com. You'll find the campaign simply by searching "Bad Cop, No Donut," and as well. You can also find the link directly on the Global Trust and Education Network website, which is gten.org.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter.
And a lot of success.